Graham, you know we're not allowed to do that, right? You can't, no, it's for the people, Graham, for the people.
I was actually about to ask, are we allowed to enter?
No. Don't you guys read the contracts? What's wrong with you?
I mean, I'm just trying out my luck, okay? Now, Thabiso has been reporting live from Komiki Beach this morning, and right now he's on standby with Doug Kemp, and they're going to be talking about the stress, the impact that stress has on our immune system, rather. So let's check that out.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, we all know stress is a reality. It is a thing that happens to every single one of us at one point in life. We will experience stress, and if you haven't, you're really lucky, but it happens to just about anyone. It's part of it. You can't avoid it. But the thing is, did you know that stress can have a negative impact on your immune system? And obviously, as a result of that, your entire health as a whole. And that's why this morning we're having a very important chat, one that we must always constantly be checking in and having around stress and how this can have an impact on our overall health. And that's why we've invited Doug Kemp, who is the Program Director on Stress-Related Issues at Recovery Direct. Doug, so good to have you here. Thanks so much for joining the picnic. Doug, we know that dealing with stress is just part of life, and we all say this, but what are the biggest causes of stress in life?
Well, for different people, different stresses in their life, there is difference in every human being that's out there. Generally, you find that relational stress is quite prominent, and this is something that is between relationships that you have in your life. Whether those relationships be to work or to money or to actual individuals, generally you find that those are quite big stresses. You know, marriages, divorces, deaths, so on, tend to be the primary drivers of stress. But one of the most prominent drivers of stress that we find, and specifically where stress becomes a disorder, is past trauma. And that's past stresses that just haven't ever been properly resolved.
So they just keep recurring over and over again until they're dealt with. Yeah,
there's an underlying stress in many people, and most stress is a very normal part of life. I mean, either you know, it's actually part of the physiology of how we're constructed as human beings. And we're able, with this amazing tool of the body, to go into stressful states and come out of stressful states. And it's when we can't come out of those stressful states that we find problems and stress builds in our lives.
Do some people just never realize that they're stressed, that they're actually sitting with a whole baggage of stress from past events in their lives? Does that happen often?
Yeah, absolutely. So trauma is quite an often one that where past things almost get glossed over, and you just find new coping mechanisms. So your body is always going to try return to an equilibrium or a homeostasis, and trying to get to a point where it can be okay again. But sometimes that level of okay is set quite specifically, so like they've grown up with a constant stress their whole life.
And we do often hear this, that when you are stressed, your body will often say it or show it. But we do know as a fact now that's come through is that stress can have a really big impact on your overall health, particularly your immune system. How exactly does that happen?
Well, you have to look at your stress as being almost a systemic thing. So it's part of an ecosystem that includes your body and your mind and your relationships that are around you and your context to life. And when that ecosystem has any part of the ecosystem is under pressure, there are knock-on effects. And certainly your immune system ties very much into that knock-on effect process. As you've got various systems, your nervous system has a number of different nervous systems in play with stress. And when these aren't able to mediate that stress back to a normal state again, so systems like the immune system become sort of the first targets of problems starting to happen. And invariably addressing that it's about sort of starting to deal with what has gone wrong within this ecosystem of things in your life.
This sounds like the type of problem that would present itself in the long term as well. What happens when we let stress take over long term on our bodies? What happens to our bodies in the long term?
Well, physiologically speaking, you've got your nervous system, which has been triggering certain parts of your body, such as to produce things like cortisol and adrenaline, to react to certain situations or stressful situations. And when you're constantly under the stress, what basically happens is you've got this overproduction of certain chemicals within your body. And that leads on to many different things. You can go into heart failures and strokes and very extreme things.
Yeah.
But by and large, people tend to sort of respond with symptoms like depression and anxiety and starting to maladapt into certain behaviors like the intake of substances.
Yeah.
Now, the whole time your body is just always trying to sort of remediate and come back down to a point of homeostasis or the equilibrium. So most of those responses are going to, if you continue with them, they become detrimental to your lifestyle and they play out into all sorts
it doesn't end. I imagine there's so many people sitting at home right now on the couch and very tense and going, how do I manage it? What can you help me with, Doug? How can people manage the stress then?
Correct.
Just one top way. What is that one primary way we can manage the stress?
I really think that stress is very individualized as to what has caused the stress in your life. And so if one really has to take a single thing, one has to really internalize what is going wrong with you as an individual. Because like yoga and mindfulness and all these different techniques that come in might not work for different people. And that internalization is to really examine where it's gone wrong for you and what you can do to do it. And there's a billion blog posts out there on the internet that sort of dial into exactly what you can do if that sort of stuff works for you. Invariably, you start to look at the self-examination in terms of your relationships and how you fit in context to those relationships. And work could be a relationship that you could be diving too far into. Money's a common trend.
It's about paying attention.
It's about paying attention to what's gone wrong with you as an individual, yes.
I love that you mentioned that. It's about that mindfulness when you know what's going on in your life and you start feeling that you're getting a little bit tense around certain issues and relationships in your life. You're able to really then tap into your inner feelings around it. Thank you so much, Doug, for joining us. But of course, IMMUENZA is here to the rescue if you are someone feeling like you're a little bit stressed or feeling that tension. And it really is there to keep your immune system operating at its peak, fighting the nasty damage that stress and tension can have in your overall health.
Looking for immune support? Remain at your peak all year round with IMMUENZA.